In 1994, a journalist named Serge Monast introduced the notion that NASA and the United Nations have a secret four-phase plan to use holographic technology and electromagnetic waves to simulate a global religious awakening or alien invasion, which he titled Project Bluebeam. According to Monast, first, religious beliefs would be discredited by manipulating historical and archaeological discoveries to undermine traditional religious beliefs to make way for a new global religion controlled by the elite. Secondly, holographic projections would show Jesus, Buddha, and Muhammad around the world in different languages and a mock second coming of Christ. Third, electronic telepathic communication using advanced electromagnetic waves would be used to implant thoughts and voices directly into people's minds.
Voice to skull technology. This is also in the foray of directed energy weapons.
What is that?
The ability to, let's just say, throw your voice into your head or my voice into my head, or allowing algorithms that now they can blanket a whole geographical area and they can make everybody change their thoughts. They can, I use the term intrusive thoughts. Back to that fork in the road analogy. If you find yourself where you have to make a decision about something, next thing you know, you catch yourself kind of having an argument in your head with your own voices. Well, the ability to add another one of your voices in there, but have it controlled by somebody else's microphone, so to say, is a very powerful tool. And I think this is a weapon of war that we are seeing happen to everyone around us. The Department of Defense recently started initiating protocols for their employees, their agents, to discuss Havana syndrome-like symptoms. And on that list is that their agents are hearing voices in their head. And this is what they're getting at. This is that technology that, you know, next thing you know, you're trying to make a decision, but there's another Sean in your head that now is actually somebody else's control. And through the manipulation of that voice, they can now push you, just like we have.
With Vladimir Putin next week in Geneva. A topic of discussion could be the ongoing mysterious illness called Havana syndrome, suffered by diplomats, spies, and government workers here and abroad. Lawmakers are trying to determine if the brain injuries from the affliction could be caused by energy waves from devices used to extract information from cell phones and other electronics, and whether adversaries like Russia could potentially weaponize this effect. So Olivia Gazas has been following this story for us and is here to discuss. So we sort of reminded people a little bit about this. This is this sort of illness that resulted in like headaches and dizziness and other kind of brain-related symptoms. It initially started with diplomats that were in Havana in Cuba, but then it popped up in other places like China as well. And then other diplomats from other countries, Canadian diplomats, also said that they had suffered these long-term side effects of we don't know what. So the Senate passed a bill this week offering financial support for victims of this mysterious illness. What does the legislation do?
Sure. So this legislation was the result of a really uniquely bipartisan effort to boost the financial support that's being given to employees of the State Department and the CIA who have confirmed cases of brain injury as a result of these attacks or these incidents. It was introduced by Republican Senator Susan Collins of Maine and co-authored by Mark Warner, Jeanne Shaheen, both Democrats, Marco Rubio, another Republican, and was passed by unanimous consent by the Senate on Monday. The bill says that the agencies are going to have to establish their own internal fair and equitable criteria by which to determine which employees can get this assistance and keep track of where it goes. But injured personnel are really, really grateful for it because many of them have paid out of pocket in trying to get diagnostic and medical care for these symptoms in the intervening years. So this is really a meaningful step forward in getting them some financial assistance and making them a little bit more whole.
Lastly, a simulated global crisis provided by a faked alien invasion or apocalyptic scenario would result in a global panic that would establish a centralized world government.
And while we can never repay them, we can certainly celebrate them.
Thank you, Fantastic Four. Thank you.
Thank you, Fantastic Four.
Please welcome the Fantastic Four.
Harvey, how's that sauce looking?
protectors of this world?
Yes, we are.
Your planet is now marked for death.
It's my fault. I stretched the bounds of space. And they hurt.
Are we safe?
I don't know. There's not enough time.
I'm not giving up.
We will face this together. We will fight it together. As a family.
Has to be us.
Manasse died mysteriously of a heart attack 2 years later at the age of 51. Although through his life Serge Manasse was known as a conspiracy theorist and Project Bluebeam was considered a farce, it is documented that the United States Air Force performed systematic studies of UFOs under the codename Project Blue Book from March 1952 to December 17, 1969. The project was headquartered at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Ohio, initially directed by Edward James Rulpit, who coined the term UFO. Project Sign was the first project, also known as Project Saucer, active for most of 1948. The purpose was to collect and evaluate and distribute within the government all UFO sightings. Project Sign was initiated by the Technical Intelligence Division, Air Material Command, and assigned project number XS-304. Reports were compiled from 23 domestic and 30 foreign incidents. According to configurations, the sighted objects were classified as flying discs, torpedo or cigar-shaped bodies with no wings or fins visible in flight, spherical or balloon-shaped objects, and balls of light. The latter group appeared to have no physical form and unfamiliar to aeronautical designers. Project Grudge came after in February 1949. In its only official report issued August 1949, it was concluded, all evidence and analyses that indicate reports of UFO are the result of 1. Misinformation of various conventional objects, 2. A mild form of mass hysteria and war nerves, 3. Fabricated report to perpetrate a hoax or seek publicity, or 4. Psychopathological persons. Project Blue Book ended with 12,618 UFO reports, but claimed they were misidentified clouds or stars. Despite claims that there was no evidence, many religions began to emerge surrounding belief in the mothership and UFOs. The Arthurian Society, founded by George King in the 1950s, claimed to be in contact with extraterrestrial intelligences he referred to as cosmic masters. The main goal was to cooperate with these masters to advance the New Age to solve Earth's problems. The religion combined theosophy, millenarianism, New Age, and the UFO religion, believing that the quote-unquote next master, a messianic figure, would descend upon the earth in a flying saucer possessing magic more powerful than all the world's armies combined. King claims to have channeled a being named Arthurius with the ability to contact him telepathically. King took up yoga in 1944, specifically Bhakti, Gnani, and Kundalini. And in 1954, while sitting in his room, a voice told him, "Prepare yourself. You are to become the voice of an interplanetary parliament." A week later, he was visited by Hindu spiritual teacher Swami Sivananda, who taught him yoga, prayer, and meditation, which enabled him to receive telepathic messages from Venus. King claims to have been contacted by Venusians, people portrayed as human-like with wings and antennae, tentacles, furry humans, dwarves, giants, centaurs, fishmen, cat people, rat men, and plant men. Other religions such as the Nation of Islam, Raelism, Scientology, and Heaven's Gate followed similar beliefs. Heaven's Gate believed they would become immortal extraterrestrials by rejecting human nature, ultimately believing their body was merely a vehicle and that while alive would descend to heaven aboard a UFO. Founders Marshall Applewhite and Bonnie Nettles convinced their followers they were the two witnesses of the Book of Revelation. On March 26, 1997, San Diego deputies discovered the bodies of 39 active members of the group who had participated in a ritual suicide. According to the Arthurian Society, all the religious figures came from different planets. Saturn was the home of the cosmic hierarchy or interplanetary council. Krishna, a major deity in Hinduism, was from Saturn, while Jesus and Buddha came from Venus, each coming to Earth to teach mankind the quote-unquote right way. Devas were celestials from Jupiter, invisible to the human eye, but detected by those with a divine eye, the extrasensory power by which one sees beings from other planes. Even these beings, having reached full joy and consumed all good karma, cannot be released from the cycle of samsara and can be reborn in hell. So there is never hope of heaven. The Great White Brotherhood of Earth are the enlightened order of mystics guiding the human race. According to the Mahatma Letters of 1881, essential to the development of tradition purported that high-ranking members of the organization in India and Tibet were to maintain contact with one another telepathically without written or oral communication. The letters proposed that the doctrine of reincarnation was revealed by this means. Theosophy founder Helena P. Blavatsky claims to have made physical contact with these adepts in India, which she called Mahatmas. The most famous Mahatma is Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, better known as Mahatma Gandhi. Martians were from Mars, known as enlightened but evil. By the early 1900s, Mars was seen as a place in need of human intervention, and therefore colonization of the planet was necessary. In Leviathan Wakes, a set of short stories written from 2011 to 2019, set in the future where humanity colonized much of the solar system, facilitated by the invention of the Epstein drive, a fusion-powered engine capable of producing continued acceleration. Earth is governed by the United Nations and the Martian Congressional Republic. These both exert power over inhabitants of the asteroid belt, known as belters. Belters live in space stations and perform manual labor to provide the system with essential natural resources. Other books in the series include Caliban's War, Abaddon's Gate, Sibylla Burns, Nemesis Games, Babylon's Ashes, Persepolis Rising, Tiamat's Wrath, and Leviathan Falls. It is the colonization of Mars that has kept its momentum. In 2015, the New Shepard vehicle reached the edge of space called the Kármán line. This demarcation denotes an altitude of 100 kilometers above the Earth's sea level. This quote-unquote near space region below the boundary of the outer space are 62 miles. The aerospace manufacturer and suborbital spaceflight company Blue Origin, owned by Jeff Bezos, is the one who sent it into flight. Jeff Bezos is quoted as saying in his high school graduation speech that he dreamed of a day when mankind would colonize space.
Gail shared with us the song that you sang when you got up there. What a wonderful world. Why was that important to sing that particular song?
I've covered that song in the past, and obviously, like, my higher self is always steering the ship, because I had no clue that one day I would decide to sing a little bit of that in space. But I think that it's not about me. It's not about singing my songs. It's about a collective energy in there. It's about us. It's about making space for future women and taking up space and belonging. And it's about this wonderful world that we see right out there and appreciating it. This is all for the benefit of Earth.